should work. Yeah, so Matt, coaching Wales under-15s, how are you finding the experience so far?
A great question to ask on the back of a 4-0 result against Belgium.
Yeah.
A wonderful question to ask after a result like that. I mean, on days like this, I suppose epitomise why we do the job and why so many people love the game. It was a wonderful achievement for the players today, certainly, and the way they showed their progress over the training camps we've had over the months and the last two match day camps. The Tri-Nations is an achievement that's, I think, it's not been gains for a number of years. So what the boys have done, and we've had to remind them of that, is that not many groups before them have actually taken the Tri-Nations competition in terms of getting the first result against Switzerland and being hard to beat and staying in the game as long as you can, and then showing a different side to them today in terms of capitalising and being clinical in the final third and giving us every opportunity to win games. So all credit to them. The opportunity for me is a wonderful one in terms of assisting Richie Williams and Craig Knight and all the members of staff who were involved. So it's been a great journey so far, albeit a short one.
So originally, what sort of inspired you? Why did you decide to take up a role here with the Wales under-15 squad?
I think my involvement full-time at Swansea City Academy, I suppose, gave me an opportunity to showcase myself, that I was involved in coaching. But when I came on to my UEFA A, obviously the members of staff here at the FAW Trust and the FAW were aware of me from my previous playing days, and I think have monitored me closely as well. And hopefully with my involvement with my A licence has given me an opportunity to show my qualities and my worth, my willingness to learn, and to better myself as well as the youngsters playing in the game these days. So the likes of Oshan and Dave Adams have been a huge influence in helping me not only gain my A licence now, trying to push me on the pro, which I'm toying with the idea, but every opportunity for me at the moment is a learning opportunity. I love every day I come into work in terms of working with young players who have potential, who are eager, who are keen, who have got desire to fulfil their dreams. I was once in that position, so for me to help in any way, it's that's where I get my excitement from.
And you've got that experience of being an ex-professional, playing at the top level. Have the kids themselves asked your advice in that regard? What are the kind of questions they ask you?
Yeah, always. I am sometimes reluctant, not so much to offer the advice and support, but to promote myself as a former player when I used to play, because it's something I think in a player's mind frustrates them when you when you speak too much about yourself. But I think at times you have to be clever on how you use that information, because all coaches are very good in terms of seeing the game and tactically changing things. I think once you've experienced the game and you've played at a certain level, it's the small type of detail that you can help a player with in terms of the management of their nerves before a game, the management of individual performances, players around them, how to get the best out of themselves, on all the psychological aspects behind the 100 things you have to get right before you cross the white line, I suppose. And it's that type of experience I find quite powerful, using my experience from international football, and the difference or the comparisons between club and international. So this is the first age group they really get an insight to playing these competitive international fixtures, even though they're still classed as development. But you can see the intensity of today's game. These boys are hungry to get not only the performance right, but to get results as well. And you can see how deflated and low they are when they don't go away with sometimes what they deserve. And that's been a story of the last two camps, really.
You said that they're getting involved in these competitive games. Is it important to start introducing the kids to these professional standards, or is it more or less just about enjoying the experience while they're there at the moment?
No, I think it's the first in terms of when I came on board with the FAW Trust in terms of helping or supporting this Victory Shield group. The big thing I wanted to change, I suppose, is the code of conduct, the professionalism, the attitude of the players, and the standard that we require. So my reminder, I remember the first couple of camps, was things weren't good enough, and not so much in terms of the structure and how things were set up. It was more from the player's perspective, what they can be doing differently, and they shouldn't be requested by a coach or by any member of staff to be doing things properly. And it's about them making an impression. At the end of the day, they're in the luxury role. They've been selected to represent their country, but that could end at any point. And it happened to me, unfortunately, through injury. But I made sure that every time I was in a Welsh camp, from a young age all the way through to my senior experiences, that I applied myself properly. I made sure that the player alongside me I was competing with, I wanted to be better than them. So between camps, if there was a 6-week period, I made sure that I was doing my utmost to when we returned, that I was better than him, or I had improved more than him. And that's the type of mentality that I'm trying to instill in these players. No doubt that everyone's trying that at all different levels. But that's what I've seen a huge improvement, and that's why I can refer back to it now that 6 months ago it wasn't as good as maybe what we've experienced this week on camp. The professionalism of these players now is to a high standard, and it's only when you show them your expectation does it rub off on them, and it becomes a habit, and then it's their own expectation of themselves. And we're starting to see that now. The way the players manage themselves or conduct themselves on and off the pitch is pinnacle to anyone's career. And that's what people will remember you by, of what type of personality you have, what character you are. Do you have heart? Do you have desire? Do you motivate yourself, or are you the one that needs instilling that self-belief all the time? And I think the more you can be in control of yourself, you're going to be a better player.
And of course, with Wales today on the main stage, youth is such a vital part of that. Ampadu, Tyler Roberts, Woodburn, who were all involved in the Victory Shield a few years ago, now playing full internationals for big clubs as well. Do you feel like the Welsh way of coaching is so vital to Wales' youth success? How important is it to develop these kinds of players that are currently in the under-15s for future success potentially in football?
Yeah, well, from what I remember from my experience, that 1 year I was in the Victory Shield. I played 2 years, so 1 year ahead of myself. Then I played the Victory Shield. Within two years, I was in the first team at Leeds United. And this is the reminder to the players all the time that they can be naive about things like that, is that if they want to be the best, then they could be making their debuts at 16, at 17, at 18 for their clubs, hopefully Premier League clubs. And that's the level that we're getting to now, is that I think the coaching system within the Welsh makeup has improved over the last 10 to 15 years, and I know that was the objective and the challenge for FAW and FAW Trust. But you can see that the grassroots level now has improved. The quality of player going into academies has improved, and this is where we're seeing the rewards now of the players like you've mentioned. So for us it's no different. We have to challenge them even more so and set those targets even closer for them. Because the more they're naive about that, the longer it's going to take them to become a professional.
And of course, you said coach at Swansea Academy. Have you implemented any styles or anything from there to carry over to the Wales under-15 squad?
Not necessarily. I'd like to think that there's a lot of similarities. When I was doing my A licence, I seen that quite clearly, that a lot of the philosophies, the Welsh way curriculum is very similar to the Swansea way curriculum. The principles are no different, albeit there may be alterations, there may be slight differences in the way maybe you press or the way you play out from the back. But the principles are the same, and the qualities from the player are no different. We work in a 4-stage strategy in terms of the physicality of the player, the technical ability, the tactical and the psychosocial. Now, however, which order you put them in importance may differ from club to country, but they're all as relevant as each other, and when they develop them at what stage, I suppose, is where you see the success from a player.
And being an ex-pro, you've played at that top level, Leicester, Leeds, for example. Who is the best coach you've played under in your time as a professional footballer?
Thanks for preparing me for this one. I've always said I've been lucky enough to play, and I didn't have a lucrative career where I've played 500-600 games, where I've got huge comparison. But I did play under a number of good quality coaches. So Howard Wilkinson was a tactical technician, absolutely superb with his information. Sometimes an overload of information, so things you learn about that. But I think without being prepared tactically, you can fall down as an individual and collectively as a team. George Graham was superb at Leeds in terms of his implement of discipline and professionalism. You know, it was quite regimented with him, and I took so much from him when I trained under him. And then David O'Leary was the, I suppose, the influence in my career in terms of allowing us youth players to play with freedom and to express ourselves. And it's those type of managers that you remember, because that's the most enjoyable time. So if I really had to put my hat on the line, it would be Mark Hughes, because my experience representing Wales, albeit an honourable one, and proud to come on camp, proud to train every day, to be at reception at the Vale Glamorgan Hotel. Everything I took part in representing my country, I absolutely adored. So Mark Hughes was one of those who sort of give me, I suppose, the confidence to play at the highest level, even though I'd achieved a lot at Leeds in terms of Premier League football, Champions League football, UEFA Cup football, etc. But playing for your country and playing against the likes of Rivaldo against Brazil and Figo against Portugal, he not only instilled the confidence but the self-belief that I can go and do it, and he gave me the man-marking role to mark both those players in those games. And I always look back at those games and think it's the highlight of my career, really. So and he was the coach that done that for me. Without him making the selection or having faith in me as a young player, then I wouldn't have had that opportunity to represent my country. So I know it's a long answer, but there it is.
And have any of those names influenced your styles as a coach? Any of them had an effect on you?
I think, like my inspiration when I was becoming a player, Paul Gascoigne, Roy Keane and David Batty were my idols. But I was clever enough, even as a young age, to realise that I couldn't just be a Roy Keane. I had to combine that with other things. So the qualities of David Batty and Paul Gascoigne, that's how I looked at my career, in terms of, can I take from certain players that I absolutely adored and become quite unique myself. And I'm trying to be that as a coach as well. So, I mentioned Howard Wilkinson, George Graham, and what they offered me. The qualities, I suppose, the psychological qualities of David O'Leary. I worked under Peter Taylor, who was a wonderful coach at Leicester City, and Mickey Adams. And they offer you so much more as well. And this is why I feel, as a coach, I like to take snippets. And I'm having a great opportunity here now with the Welsh Trust, in terms of working on a daily basis with the likes of Richie Williams, who's very experienced in what he does, and learning so much from Craig Knight as well, who does things at a different level and has maybe a different insight or a different look on how we should have started this game this week, for example, which players he believes should have started, would come on later, etc. So, and what I've learned is that you delve in a lot of information. It's good to have discussion and debate, as long as you have clarity coming out the other end. So, I'm like I say, I've got a growth mindset. I'm learning every single day. So to become a coach, I'm nowhere near that at the moment. I just feel I'm still on my pathway to becoming an educated coach, someone who can instill not only my experience or rely on my experience, because sometimes as a former player you want to get rid of the label that I'm a former player, I should know what I'm doing. I'd rather earn that stripe in a way, in terms of my qualification, and challenging myself on a daily basis for people to see as well, that it's not just I could have done it as a player and I get admired for that. They're actually watching me as a coach and they're liking the things that I'm doing and hearing.
And you said you're still in that developmental stage as a coach. Have you found the transition from ex-player to coach hard, or has it been a bit easier than you maybe would have thought originally?
Yeah, I think in terms of the qualities that are required to be a good coach, that's what I've found challenging. I don't think I was naive to think that I can just walk straight into coaching, because I wanted to, like I say, earn my respect from the coaching family, the coaching capacity, coaches around me. When I first went into Swansea, it was a case of, I had the opportunity to go to higher age groups. I turned the opportunity to go to Leicester, because I wanted to go and work with the younger age group to build my confidence in terms of what I was doing. So I felt I had a bit of an advantage in terms of your presentation skills. They're huge these days within a coaching role or a managing role, and I think a lot of people forget or deny that, and they feel that as long as they've got the right ideas and they're good with the players on the pitch, that's enough. but I think you earn a lot of respect from players off the pitch as well. And unless the players are respecting you, they'll never buy into what you believe. So that's an important part, and maybe that has helped me as well, having a bit of time within the media of how to compose myself, how to address myself, how to be with people. Because like I said, I'm a massive believer in the psychology behind sport, and that's where I feel that maybe that's where my strength lies as well. So that's where if I have got struggles or weaknesses within my coaching, it's made up by the fact that my personality shines through, and that's what I think there's fine examples within the Premier League at the moment. There's fine examples, I'm sure, all over the country at all different levels that's proven. So I know you can rely on that forever. I'm hoping that with my footballing understanding will catch up to those qualities that I like to think I've already got.
And you emphasise there the psychology behind it when you are coaching. How important is that psychology really going when you're sort of training these young players, the under-15s? Is it important to be on the same wavelength as them and sort of have more patience with them, more understanding than you would a professional?
Of course, yeah. Even though I'm getting on a little bit now, I've realised that it's pointless trying to be cool with them because that don't work, and it's never going to come across cool to a 13, 14, 16-year-old, however it is. I've had good experience in terms of managing different age groups, and my confidence is growing. So I've spent a lot of time recently with the under-18s at Swansea City, whereas maybe 2 years ago I would never have dreamed of going into that level. But because I have, and I've challenged myself, and it was nerve-wracking at the beginning, but I built that confidence, and I think because I had the players on my side as well, they helped me through that. And now it's probably my aspiration. I want to grow. I want to keep pushing. I want to get my challenge to be bigger. I want to work with the 18s. I want to work with the 23s. I've always said that my aspiration is not to work at senior level, but I think the more experience I'm gaining within coaching, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way I'd like to be thinking in a couple of years' time. But yeah, going back to the topic of psychology, I think you've got to get the buy-in of players. You've got to understand players. You've got to manage players correctly, and I've got a good eye for that. I've got 4 young children. I'm a father of 4, and I think within that I see qualities, and I understand through parenting as well what players need, and sometimes what their body language is telling me. And again, even this week, there's a number of examples that I can refer to that has proved that as well. It's not the case that I want to be likeable, but it's just a case that I want the players to respect. So anything that you request from them, so like today, for example, the work ethic and attitude from players out there was a huge transformation from previous camps. Now that's happened because, one, we've demanded it, but we've demanded it through a way that they've listened and they've gone out and they've applied themselves as we'd expect today. And that's been the difference between the two sides. If you look individual class, they've got some very, very good players, and to a lot of people it was concerning. But we've also got that, but we've got heart and we've got desire, as long as they just know when is the right time to roll your sleeves up and when's the right time to show composure and to settle and to manage a game and slow things down. And our players now are starting to learn that at a younger age, I think, and that's why it's given us success like today at international level.
You said that work ethic has improved as the time has gone on with the side. What is the biggest development you've noticed in this team since you have been coaching, working with them?
Professionalism, and I think that's the objective. I think as us as coaches anyway, we don't expect them to be perfect when they first come in the camp, but they have to be shown and directed in the right way, in terms of the Welsh way, in terms of principles, the way we play on the pitch, in and out of possession. We can keep harping on about that, but they got to know how to behave off it as well, and what's expected in terms of our meetings. So it could be phones going off, which we've had on camps. People not listening or engaging in meetings and not taking information on board, and then the same mistakes happening on the pitch, which can be frustrating not only for coaches but for other players as well. So what we've done is set the stall out that when you come into Welsh camp, we're expecting the best and we demand the best, but we're going to do that through a togetherness, through a spirit, through that bonding ethic that we always create through every age group. And I always remember as a player, we come to Welsh camp, everyone lives and breathes football and they die for each other, and we didn't know any other way. But when you add players into that, and egos, an image grows, that's when you can get a little bit lost with the commitment that's required as well. So that's the balance that we're getting right, I think, within the Welsh system, is that these players are desperately hungry to not only prove themselves in the game, but on the international scene as well, knowing that they don't want any players taking their spot. So it's the competitive element, which sometimes you try and take out the youth development, that we're trying to discreetly include. So like today, we didn't have to instill that into them. We could purely talk about progress, learning, development, because we leave the competitive edge up to them, and that's something that we try and work into our coaching methods and training, in terms of the way we motivate them in training. The challenges or the targets or tasks we give them within training will sort of set that up for them anyway. So it's nice to see it working, and it's nice to see that coming off today.
And finally, you mentioned you sort of, before you came into coaching, you just didn't think you were going to coach at the high level. That wasn't your ambition. But now working with these age groups, your Swansea Academy, Wales Under 15, what is your ambition as a coach in the future?
I think I'm yet to convince myself, but I do feel in a good place at the moment, and I think that's all just done through confidence. You know, I wasn't experienced in coaching. I'm still yet experienced by far, but during the progress you make, and you start building that confidence, I suppose, or having the authority of when you're doing something, I know I'm doing it because I've earned experience from it. So you can do it from a player's perspective, but playing to coaching is totally different. So again, there's little qualities and things you can introduce from what you've experienced as a player, but I've got to learn my trade as a coach, and I'm learning that from others. Even today, you know, I'm looking at, you know, the actions of other coaches, even on the opposition, and watching how they're analysing their players, what information they're giving them, to then give me the heads up that it's like a game of chess, and it's a tactical game, and even more so now at a younger age. These boys are quite clever and quite intelligent. But no, I honestly, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, but I felt this way about youth football or under 18s football 2 years ago, that's not for me. But the more I've done it recently, I'm actually thriving on it now, and I'm really enjoying it. You know, I've been asked by the older age groups with the FAW to come on board as maybe a shadowing opportunity, but I see that as a wonderful gift. That one, they welcome me to come on board. Two, I'm going to grasp that opportunity because not many people get it. So hopefully I'll expose myself in that environment as well. And who knows, in a year's time, in 2 years' time, it could take 10. But I don't know, I've got to continue to try being a father as well. So it's finding the balance of what I commit to job-wise. It's a difficult situation at Swansea at the moment, obviously with the redundancies and the financial situation the club are in. But I do feel in a good position in terms of what I've gained in coaching capacity, and now I feel ready that if the opportunity is no longer there for me at Swansea, I feel good enough to go elsewhere and to walk into somewhere with my own beliefs, with my own philosophies. Whereas if someone could have asked me that 3 years ago, I wouldn't have known what I actually want in terms of coaching, or in terms of my footballing philosophy, how to play and what style of player I want to play. But I'm a little bit more convinced on that now, which gives me the belief to go anywhere. So who knows? I'll leave that one hanging for you, man.